Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this 2-day talk with Heidi Koppl called Kindfulness, From Kindfulness to Pure Perception. Before we start, I'd like to give a very quick introduction to Heidi. She is the founder and chief editor of Tara's Triple Excellence online meditation program. If you would like to know more about Heidi, she was recently interviewed in the Wisdom Publications podcast called the Wisdom Podcast, and it's very interesting, and you might like to check that out in English only, sorry. So we're very fortunate to host Heidi here today, and we hope that this will be of great benefit. And with that, I'll pass it over to you, Heidi. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Thanks so much for introducing and doing all the hard work behind the scenes, and to our wonderful Triple Excellence team. Welcome, everyone. So nice to see you all. Really happy to be with you today. And as the title already clearly says, we'll be exploring kindfulness, and also pure perception. How these two hang together, and also in this context, we'll also explore the 5 qualities, especially today, that Rinpoche always emphasizes, especially will focus on the quality of appreciation and contentment. So these are really crucial topics in the Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana that we will cover. And it's really interesting to see how, from an experiential point of view, actually, these qualities are quite closely connected, and you'll find some similar ingredients in all 3 of them. So, okay, then many of you know that this term kindfulness, first time when I heard it, it was said by Rinpoche. Now it's quite widely used already, kindfulness. There's a whole kindfulness movement out there. But when I first time heard Rinpoche say it, I was really quite taken and really quite amazed by it, because what he points out is that when you take mindfulness, the whole mindfulness movement, out of its context, also there's a lot that gets lost. And also when it comes to mindfulness, which is amazing, it's like the pillar quality of the entirety of Buddhism. But if you divorce it from or separate it from kindness, from loving kindness, compassion, then also it can be used in an also beneficial way. For instance, I mean, soldiers can learn how to be more mindful in order to be better killers and so forth. So it's so important that everything is based on kindfulness. And Rinpoche immediately noticed that, and therefore he points out always how important it is to really train in kindfulness, and everything comes down to kindfulness. And many of you most likely he always mentions offering others a kind gaze and a smile, a loving smile. That in itself is already practice. You're making an offering of generosity. You're being kind to others. And this is in itself is so beautiful and actually quite powerful if you apply it. All right. With these first introductory remarks, Jack, would you be able to please open the first slide? So the first verse, or the first citation that I would like to share with you is from Tulku Rinpoche. And I think it really shows, it really points out the common thread that we will be exploring today and also tomorrow, that the very basis of our discontentment is our ongoing and never-ending evaluation of the quality of our experience. So what does this actually mean? It means that we are constantly judging, isn't it? We are always, the ego is always trying to find something that is not quite all right. And when this happens, is also that you always have hope and fear. And as we know, hope and fear are our biggest obstacles. Only when hope and fear really dissolve, then this is the awakening, as it is already often mentioned. The biggest maras or demons, as Duchem Rinpoche writes, are hope and fear. So they all come down to always judging, to always evaluating, thinking, now this is not good, this should be better, I'm not good, I should be better. So this is something that is very important in this, in ourselves, to begin to notice, to observe. But when observing it, also observe it, please, with kindfulness, with kindness. So now, let us look at the next slide. Jack, please. This verse by the Buddha, not committing a single negative deed, cultivating a wealth of virtue, completely taming your mind. This is the Buddha's teachings. The reason why I want to share with you this verse is because I think it's extremely touching. It's, for me, when I read it, it's always really, it really touches me quite deeply. As Rinpoche always points out in all of his teachings, is that if we consider ourselves as Buddhist practitioners, but we keep on doing the 10 negative deeds, then there's really no point in it. And the 10 negative deeds, for instance, one is gossiping, one is criticizing, pointing out, or using harsh words and so forth, or covetousness. These are all things that can happen to us, no, isn't it? So if we really want to be a Buddhist practitioner, it's so important to really let go of all those negative deeds. Cultivating a wealth of virtue, meaning to always see if it's possible to do good wherever you can. Be generous, be kind, or like as Rinpoche always points out, just offer a kind smile, a loving gaze to others. That in itself is already a wealth of virtue. It's a virtuous deed. And the last sentence, the second last is really very relevant to what we are covering, completely taming your mind. This is the Buddha's teaching. And this is actually something that really touches me quite deeply. Completely taming your mind means making your mind more softer and more gentle, kinder. When we look at the term taming, then we often think of taming tigers or taming horses, taming wild elephants and so forth. And then this is often done with quite harsh methods. But how do we really tame our mind? It doesn't really so much work to tame it with harshness, with unkindness. We are so used to achieve everything through effort and hard working, through pushing hard. But do we really succeed in softening our mind with harsh means? The mind is something completely intangible, no? You cannot identify it. Its nature is often likened to be completely unimpeded, like space. So something that is so intrinsically unimpeded and open, how can you influence it with these harsh means? Because when you use harshness, what happens to the mind? It immediately contracts. It immediately becomes small in scope. So how can a small scope of mind really get in touch with the unimpeded, open nature of the mind? So therefore, in order to start a real conversation with our unimpeded, open mind, we can only do so with similar states of mind, with open states of mind, by not trying to constrict the mind, by not trying to force it. If you try to force something, push something, you can try it out yourself. It contracts, it becomes smaller. So that if you do the opposite, if we apply softness, if we look inward with a soft, a kind attention, then it becomes immediately spacious, calm, and kind, and extremely soft. So now, with these remarks, let us take a closer look to kindfulness and how we would define it in contrast to mindfulness. Could you please share the next slide, Jack, please? So, as many of you know, we are trying to develop a kind of a beginner meditation program that is accessible to all Buddhists and non-Buddhists, based on Rinpoche's 5 points. And then we have tried to come up with definitions of kindfulness and mindfulness. So when you know your experience of body, speech, and mind without judgmental narrative, it is called moment by moment awareness, or also called mindfulness. But when you know your experience moment by moment through soft and tender kindness, when there's this kind of softness present, this kind of tenderness, then mindfulness blossoms into kindfulness. And kindfulness is very much the complete expression of mindfulness. This is really where mindfulness should take you. It should take you to a softness, a kindness that is inherently present within us. The next slide, please. Jane? Is it already the next slide? Okay. When we know our experience through soft and tender kindness, when we befriend ourselves unconditionally, we are practicing kindfulness. So, and this is really an important point, because usually we don't like to befriend ourselves. Actually, with our negative sides, our flaws, we try to push them away. We're quite embarrassed about them. Sometimes we're not even aware of them. We like to reject them. But with kindfulness, you're actually able to embrace them with this kind of welcome them with kindness. And then with a kindly inward intention, you're able then to provide the space to see what actually that uncomfortable flaw or negative emotion is really like, what kind of fabric it has. And this is a very effortless and direct way to connect with our basic goodness, which is extremely important. As Rinpoche or the Buddha always says, we are all equipped with the Buddha nature, basic goodness. It's like a lost treasure, isn't it, that we need to rediscover. So how do we really connect with it again? The Buddha nature is replete with qualities of loving kindness, of compassion, of wisdom. These qualities cannot become evident in a closed state of mind, in a mind that is small, in a mind that is contracted, small in scope. So it's so important that we understand the key point of openness, of softness and tenderness, that kind of quality which is so emphasized in the Mahayana. In the Mahayana, it's this soft tender quality of bodhicitta that is again and again emphasized, that we need to practice and train in. But often we think that this is a quality that we only need to extend to others. That is to say, we need to be kind and compassionate to others. But what about ourselves? That kind of same kindness needs to also be extended to ourselves, and especially to our negative side, so that we can get to know them, that we can embrace them with kindness and really integrate them and shed light with our awareness on them, so that we really get to know the nature. Even in neuroscience, it has been shown that loving kindness and compassion is so extremely effective. One study, for instance, found that just 7 minutes of loving kindness practice boosts your good feelings and sense of social connections. And some of the earliest benefits even of meditation can be measured with compassion meditation. So what happens is that, and there's an increased connectivity in the security for empathy. And the good thing is that markers for inflammation lessen a bit with just 30 hours of practice. And when you train in loving kindness and practice loving kindness meditation, it has a really positive impact even on the cellular level. The telomeres, which are indicators of physiological aging, they become usually shorter when we age, but when you practice loving kindness, they don't seem to become shorter. So that's very good news for all of us. And also what was quite interesting for me to see, that when yogis meditate on compassion, and what the researchers found, that there's a complete strengthening between the heart and the brain. There's a connection between the heart and the brain that opens up. And this is precisely what is so important for all of us, that we begin to connect our brain with the heart, and that we are not only living the Buddha's teachings in our brain, but really embody them. And when we really sense loving kindness, when we sense kindfulness, immediately the heart comes into play. And we are actually practicing. And as Rinpoche always says, and Lama Tenzin always mentions also, the Nipa Rinpoche's quote where he says, the Dharma of realization is just to have a virtuous mind, a virtuous state of mind. So then you are actually practicing the Dharma of realization. The next slide, please. And this is another quote by the Buddha that I would like to share. You have heard it probably, Rinpoche say it so many times, but I think it always touches me when Rinpoche says that we are our best protector. We are at the same time also our worst enemy. We are the best witness to the good and bad we do. So Rinpoche always mentions we are the best protector. If we don't protect ourselves, who will actually come to our protection? Who will protect us? It's so important that we realize that we need to take our power back and realize that we are not the poor victims, but actually that we're quite in control of how our present and future looks. Often we tend, and this is just our nature, I think, we tend to always look for help outside and not really within us. But the actual protector, the actual Buddha nature, replete with all qualities, is within us. And we are also so often our worst enemy. Why we desire happiness, as Shantideva says, we destroy the causes for future happiness as if they were our archenemy. Although we don't want to suffer, we run after suffering as if suffering would be our best friend. So we all tend to have very self-destructive tendencies that we sometimes don't seem to be able to dissolve. But we can. And we'll talk about this more in this talk today and tomorrow. Important it is that we have to stop waiting for some miracle to occur or for some help outside. We need to realize that we have immense power within us, because we are also our best witness, as the verse says. If we become really mindful of our experience, really kindful of our experience, we actually know what is good for us and what is bad for us, where this kind of mindset or this action is taking us or not taking us. And here I would like to just share with you, and maybe some of you know of Dr. Judd Brewer already. He has done a lot of research on addiction, on how to change addictions based on mindfulness, he calls it in an effortless way, to change our addictions by simply being kind, mindful, and curious and kind about your experiences. So he says, awareness, curiosity, and kindness are key for learning. And in this context, actually, in changing addiction, and that's very interesting for us, interestingly, strong willpower sometimes has been demonstrated not to really work that much. So how does this method, for instance, work? You're not really told to stop smoking. Instead, you're invited to curiously be mindful when you smoke, of the process of smoking, how it tastes. Exactly, go into the taste, sense the taste, and so forth. Really curiously paying attention. And what happens with addictions and actually habits usually is that we're trying to replicate the past memory again and again. So in the beginning, many people maybe started smoking because they thought this is something nice, to look cool, to be rebellious. And then they try to replicate, they associate this, the process of smoking, the action of smoking with that kind of memory. And therefore they try to replicate it. Are not really noticing so much the process of smoking, the taste of the smoke itself. So when people really keenly mindful of smoking itself, then some of them even said, "Oh, it really actually tastes like shit." So and slowly they started to naturally give up their addictions, give up smoking. And this can be done with any kind of habit, with any kind of addiction. So, and I think the lesson from that is that by listening and being really attentive and curious and kind to ourselves, and listening and observing our experiences, then we know so well what is actually good for us and not. We have this basic wisdom within us. It's actually quite amazing. So in order to really connect with our basic goodness, we need to speak its own language. I like to use this word because I think it makes sense that the basic goodness speaks its own language. And in order to converse or contact it again, to be connected with it again, we need to learn to speak its language. And that's a kindful mindfulness. It's kindness, as soft and tender, so soft and tender at its core. So that our mind, when it's soft and tender, it's something extremely spacious. And then it can unlock again the qualities that are actually present within us, the amazing qualities of unbelievable qualities of boundless compassion and loving kindness and wisdom. So now we mentioned especially the addiction of smoking, but in a way, aren't we actually all addicted, no? We are all addicted to thinking, for instance. Some of us maybe to being angry, to being judgmental, to being self-destructive, to all kinds of habits. So what is really interesting for us when we take a look at the very successful method for undoing addictions is that the habit or the addiction itself is not to be rejected, not to be undone. It's not like immediately you're not said, oh, it's something intrinsically bad that you need to give up. You need to give up smoking. Instead, actually, what you do in that method, you embrace it in a way in order to explore it with kind curiosity. And this is precisely the recurring theme of today and tomorrow. Perhaps it is also that our tendency to simply label something as unwanted, as bad, often blocks us, really prevents us from getting to know its nature and allowing it to dissolve by itself. Now let us go please to the next slide. So many of you know Rinpoche's 5 qualities. Sometimes they are called 5 traits, 5 human potentials. And he used to teach them really quite a lot, especially when Rinpoche used to still give public talks when he would travel. And sometimes, as I mentioned before, he would even go up to strangers in the airport and saying, be content, rejoice, forgive, and discover your basic goodness and be more mindful and kindful. So it was quite, each time he taught them to a wide audience, I thought that they was extremely helpful. And these 5 human potentials, I think they're extremely valuable. And based on these 5 potentials, we are trying to complete now, hopefully soon, our beginner meditation program. So this is actually a simple way. If you take those, if you practice these 5 qualities, it's a very easy and simple way of how to become your own protector. They are very easy to practice and amazingly rewarding. They will make our life really meaningful. Today, among the 5 traits or 5 human potentials, I would like to especially focus on contentment and appreciation seen from the lens of kindfulness. Because appreciation is kind of the basis. It makes kindfulness flourish. Contentment is also the basic quality of the Theravada or the foundational vehicle. It is said that the conduct of or meditation of a Theravada practitioner is to have only a few needs, rely only on a few needs or desires, and practice contentment. So we will, in a way, cover all 3 vehicles today and tomorrow. With contentment, the Theravada, and then with kindfulness, very much the Mahayana, and then with pure perception, the third, the Vajrayana. And I would like to very much explore the felt sense of these 3 qualities. So in the Theravada, craving and desire is really the main target, the main poison that one needs to fear. While in the Mahayana, it is anger, but very much selfishness also. In the Vajrayana, it is ignorance or oblivious state of mind, or as we will see tomorrow, it's also the tendency we have to see everything in an ordinary, normal way. So what I would like to, first of all, really try to do is to distinguish between an open state of mind and the contracted, the closed state of mind. As many of you know, Buddhists in Tibetan are called Nangpa. Nangpa means to look inward. But what does that really mean? How to look inward? For instance, if you're angry, it means to look inward at the anger. It means not to project your anger outwardly, not to blame others for your anger, but to notice that, to really, with kind curiosity, look at the anger itself and get to know its nature. And sometimes it's also the case that we get especially irritated or angry at people, or some thing that we also actually have very much. That kind of same flaw that we have makes us really furious when we see it in others. And sometimes we haven't even acknowledged or are not really aware of the flaw that we have. So the first step is always to become conscious, to become aware of the flaw. And so when we have anger, actually, it's a perfect opportunity to really explore yourself. So why is it that, why does this make me angry? Is this a flaw in myself? Is this something that I haven't acknowledged in myself yet? And really become curious about it, and also become curious about the sensation of anger. What is the anger? So when you then at this moment are able to apply kindfulness, look at the anger with a sense of kindness, welcome it with kindness, what happens is then that it gives you the necessary space to really look at the anger, to really sense the anger and not to identify with it. Because usually we identify the anger with the anger. We become one with it. We get overtaken by it. But when we embrace it with kindness, then it gives us that space, that distance to actually look at it and get to know it. So we as Buddhists are actually to always and we always asked to look inside, look within ourselves, and not really blame anything outside. It's hard, but actually it's also quite empowering to do so. So I was wondering, now separating between, or learning to distinguish between open and closed state of mind, if we can all try to now with a kind and a bit of curious gaze, a look within us, just simply turning our attention inward in a soft and kind way. So just try it out for a moment. See, it's possible to look inward with a soft gaze, a kind attention, also perhaps a bit curious. Simply sensing what may be there or not there. Whatever you sense is just fine. There's no goal to achieve. But simply softly and kindly looking what is there, any sensation, any thoughts. We are kindly acknowledging what is there now. Is there anything that you would like to, any attributes that come to mind when you look inward with a kind gaze that you would like to share? Anything that comes to your mind, any experience that you had? I would be curious to hear your experiences. Or maybe there was nothing. That's also an experience. You're welcome to share it on chat. Less judgmental toward oneself. Yeah, very true. And how does it feel when we don't judge ourselves so much? Compassion, forgiveness, very true, yeah. So immediately some kind of positive qualities are present. Do you notice a kind of like a bit of a spacious state of mind the moment you look inward with a kind gaze or have an inward kind attention? Feel an open heart, very good, excellent. Yeah. The heart comes into play. And when the heart comes into play, then, okay, numbness, a sense of fear, okay. Openness and calm, the resistance to the moment starts to evaporate. Noticing some body sensation, very good. Letting go, the body relaxes, very good. Compassion for how much worry was instantly there when I look. Okay, very good. So there's a kind of acceptance also of all the worries we have, which is the starting point, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. It's really excellent. Now let us try to, if you're okay with it, to try to do the opposite. Now imagine that you just try to look within in a harsh way, in a really concentrated way. Actually, when I first tried it out to look inward, and I was told to look inward, and I wanted to do it so perfectly that I tightened up my muscles and stopped breathing. So then, of course, the mind becomes contracted, and there's not so much space for experience. So, however, when you apply the attribute of gentleness, of kindness, of softness, doing it with soft tenderness, then I think all that wanting to do it so perfectly really falls away. So if we can try now for a moment, in order to distinguish between an open and closed state of mind, to really try to look inward with a kind of effortful and bit concentrated, and perhaps even, if you want to say, harsh. What harsh way? What is in there? If you like, you are welcome to share again. But maybe there's nothing that you see then. It's just too tight, yeah, true. It's a very small scope of mind, so there's not so much that can be experienced or easily judgmental of myself, yeah. My frame tightens, yeah. I don't measure up, okay. Very judgmental, too much effort. Very good. Too many things to do, overwhelm, yeah. Grasping, excellent. So, physical pain, okay. The conceptual inputs start to show again. Yes. Stressful. Yeah. It is stressful. Overwhelmed. Yeah. But in that way, you can, we can perfectly distinguish actually between open states of mind, dissatisfaction, very good. Yeah. Narrowing the viewpoint. Yeah. Having to. True. So this is unhappy. Yes. The mind speeds up. So in a way, we can so perfectly distinguish between open states of mind, mental states that are so conducive to the Buddha nature, getting in contact, in connection with a basic nature, and mind states that are impossible, really, that can lead us to a meaningful conversation with our basic nature. So, we start here at the real bottom, and the bottom is the quality of contentment, which is in a way an extremely precious quality. Here we learn to appreciate ourselves, what we are doing, and where we are extending kindness to ourselves and everyone. if we're able to do that, contentment with kindfulness, doing it in a kind way, then contentment, it is so simple and powerful, but we so often tend to forget it. The state of calmness that Rinpoche always points out, calm, kind, and clear of the three vehicles, the state of calmness really comes very much through contentment. Only when you're more appreciative of who you are, of what you have, you become also more calm. And from this also comes kindness. And from the kindness then comes the clarity of awareness, which we also will look at tomorrow as pure perception. So when we meditate on kindfulness and contentment, it's very much about learning again how to simply be, without the feeling of feeling the need to change anything. Here, letting be means to really kindly and gently accept who we are right now. And that interestingly means also our insecurities, our mistakes and blemishes, along with all the good sides, things. As we will explore, the contented mind, the soft mind, is replete with qualities of calmness, openness, kindness, and self-acceptance, and awareness of the present. It is so forgiving of the past and so open to the future. It is this loving mindset, open to everything, rather than the harsh inner command to change, that really heals our wounds and our insecurities and our fears. So here I just would like to point out, because sometimes people misunderstand contentment as a submissive acceptance of unacceptable conditions, but this is not at all contentment. Contentment is rather a powerful inner attitude. It means to simply come back to the present in moments of longing and regret, when we wish that things should be different or could have been different. It really means coming home. The contented mind appreciates what it has and who it is right now. And the contented mind, contentment is a powerful basis for staying positive during hard times, for developing good qualities in ourselves, and for also better relationships with others. The Buddha pointed out that contentment is the greatest wealth. I mean, reflect on that. How does this land with you? The opposite of it is impoverishment, neediness, a sensation, a feeling of lack. And the feeling of lack is something that we so often sense, no? We're always thinking, oh, I'm lacking something. Something is not quite all right. It kind of often accompanies our experience. So when we feel that kind of lacking or neediness, it is not, we are not really connecting to our basic goodness. That kind of neediness and impoverishment, it propels you out of the presence of the wholeness of the present moment. Trungpa Rinpoche said that if you're able to rely on contentment, then even a half of your ego clinging will naturally fall away. Because it's usually our ego that really wants everything differently, that always thinks there's something missing, there's something lacking, I'm not good enough, I should be better. It judges things constantly. Now, before we explore open versus closed states of mind, let us recall that 95% of our behavior is controlled by the subconscious. So although often with our subconscious mind we decide to make changes or change our habits, it's so difficult to follow through. So have you ever noticed that? We need access to the subconscious mind in order to really change our ingrown habits. And this is where the body really comes into play. Because where are these habits stored? A lot of research has shown that these habits are really stored. The habits and traumas are stored in our bodies, across our central nervous systems and connective tissue and fascia. So when we are born, or even sometimes in the womb, we sometimes familiarize ourselves, or when we're small, with certain habitual patterns that simply don't serve us well. So often we are actually unaware of them, and we at times run on autopilot. We like to change by pushing for change, or we like to push for change with only more thoughts. I like to say we like to think our way through change, and that often doesn't work. So in order to change positively our habitual patterns, we need to really become aware of them. and also sense them in the body where they're located. So becoming curious about our habits and really sensing them in the body. And when we sense them with kindfulness, not with harshness, because kindfulness is actually disarming. It provides space and openness for us to get the fabric, get to know the fabric of our experience. So therefore, I would, as so many of you know, I always like to integrate or have one body meditation, mindfulness meditation, kindfulness meditation in the sessions, because it really grounds us and it really makes us in contact again with our body, because so often we are just lost in our brain and completely disconnected with the sensations of our body unless it aches. So let's begin for a short moment by attending to our bodies. Coming now to a comfortable seated or lying position. So you're welcome to lie down or be seated, allowing the spine to be straight, allowing the shoulders to relax, and letting the hands fall comfortably. Perhaps keeping the eyes open or perhaps closing them, whatever is more comfortable. First, you may want to acknowledge any thoughts or emotions that might be very loud or grabbing your attention. You just briefly acknowledge them or validate them. They are part of your experience at this moment. And try to acknowledge them with as much kindness as possible. If no thoughts or emotions seem to be predominant, that's absolutely fine too. Now shifting our attention inward with kindness, becoming aware of physical sensations. Gently noticing the places where the body is making contact with the floor or the cushion. Noticing the sensations of that contact, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. Just letting it be as it is as best you can. Noticing the touch of clothes on the skin. The touch of air on the skin. Also sensing gently the space around you. Simply settling within you, settling in and inviting relaxation, contentment, and calmness. When you notice your attention has wandered, or it's difficult to follow the instructions, it's perfectly okay. Actually, quite normal. Simply notice that this has happened. No need to force anything. Bringing your attention now to the feet. Staying close to the sensations, noticing how the feet are resting on the floor. Noticing the temperature. What sensations are here now? in the toes, the soles of the feet, the tops of the feet. Is there any absence of sensation or numbness? Just notice that too. Whatever you experience is absolutely fine. Now inviting a sense of appreciation for the feet right now, just as they are. Now bringing your attention to the sensation in the knees, the shins, the calves, and ankles. Gently noticing what sensations are here now. Not having to change anything. Making space for whatever is present. Now inviting you to sense appreciation for your legs right now, just as they are. Bringing your attention now to the hips, the reproductive organs, the buttocks, and the thighs. Again, noticing softly what sensations are here now. Not needing to force anything. Being simply aware and letting things be as they are with kindness. Inviting as much as you are able to sense appreciation for the lower torso, just as it is. Tenderly bringing your attention now to the belly. Gently noticing the sensation of the breath in the abdomen. Gently noticing any sensation in the gut. Allowing your belly and abdomen to just be. Allowing your attention and awareness to rest with kindness with your belly and abdomen. Gently inviting a feeling of appreciation for the belly as a whole right now, just as it is. Bringing your attention now to the arms and sensing the hands. Noticing how the hands are resting. Noticing whatever they are touching. What sensations are here now? Inviting you now to sense appreciation for your arms and hands, just as they are. Bringing your attention now to the neck, Sensing the throat, sensing the chest, sensing the shoulders. Gently noticing the sensation of the breath. Feeling the sensation of the breath in the upper back and in the mid back. Sensing the rhythm of the heartbeat. Sensing your kind and soft heart. Allowing a sense of appreciation as best you can for the neck, chest, and shoulders just as they are. With kindness now bringing your attention to the face, sensing the forehead, sensing the eyes, sensing with kindness the ears, sensing the nose, sensing softly the mouth, sensing the jaw, gently noticing any sensation. If your eyes are open or closed, gently noticing what you're seeing. Noticing any sounds, any sense, any taste. Gently inviting a sense of appreciation for your face, just as it is. Now softly bringing your attention to the top of the head and the head as a whole. Gently noticing any sensation in the head area. Letting your attention rest with the head. Inviting a sense of appreciation for the head, just as it is. Tenderly expanding your attention now, sensing the body as a whole. Staying close to the sensation of the breath throughout the body. And sensing the mind present and resting within the body. With a kindly inward attention, enjoying a sense of appreciation for the whole body, just as it is. Allowing the sense of appreciation to guide you into the next steps of the session. So the interesting thing is that we actually all like to be happy, The Buddha always said we are all in the same predicament of wanting to be happy and not wanting to suffer. But often happiness is something so elusive for us. It seems just to be around the corner. Sometimes we think we'll be happy if we lose weight, if we fall in love, if we get a better job, if we are going on vacations, if our parents finally start to approve of ourselves. When we're sick, we think we'll be happy when we get better. When we are heartbroken, we may long for a loved one to come back. Really explore yourself for a moment. Are you waiting for anything to be happy? Is there anything that lacking right now that you're waiting for? Is happiness just something around the corner? If we are waiting for something, it's completely okay. The most important is to simply acknowledge it with kindness. So let us continue to explore. I'm sorry, I'm getting late. I still have so much to cover, but I have to cut a little bit. By exploring closed and contacted states of mind versus open states of mind. So here now, let us start with inviting you gently to recall a situation where you felt really at ease and happy and content with yourself. Not in a proud way, but just like really happy you did something good. You may want to stay with the first thing that comes to your mind. If nothing comes to your mind, if it's difficult to recall a situation, just imagine now that the place where you are now is the best place. There's no better place that you could be. Everything is actually perfect. So just kind of cultivate the sense of contentment and appreciation. So either based on a past experience or simply feeling appreciation and contentment for where you are now, for who you are, what you're doing. So please let us try that to the best of our capacity. Now, guided by a sense of playfulness and curiosity, inviting you now to briefly dwell on your experience of contentment. With a kindly inward attention, ask yourself, does it feel pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? What thoughts or emotions are here? What sensations are felt within the body? How does it feel? So please feel free to share on chat again if you have any attributes that come to your mind. Joy expansion. Excellent. So there's a kind of happiness there, isn't it? Feeling whole. Excellent. That's precisely what it does. Settling of the mind, warmth. There's the heart coming into play. Excellent. I feel very relaxed. So calmness, pleasant, peaceful, at ease, pleasant, satisfying. Excellent. This is actually wonderful, no? Because this is feeling safe. That's wonderful, yeah. Gratitude is amazing. So these are all attributes that actually make us happier, make us more whole, make us kinder, make us calmer, more open. So in a way, it's wonderful if we can actually cultivate those qualities more. No, Rinpoche is right in saying how important contentment is. Relaxed, peaceful, gratitude, less fear. Excellent, yeah. Fear is immediately also evaporating. Half of the ego goes away once we are able to actually appreciate ourselves and where we are, what we are doing. So now, there was something else. 1 second. Neutral. Etwas gelangweilt. Okay. Somebody wrote a little bored. Okay. a kind of a profound relief. Somebody, Stephanie wrote, okay, yeah, that's true. So now in learning to discern between open and closed states of mind, let us, if you're up to it, experience the opposite. If you're comfortable with doing so, inviting you now to recall a situation where you felt quite discontent. A time when things didn't feel quite all right, you didn't feel satisfied, you choose something fairly light, fairly, it's good to choose something that is quite light, not overwhelming. It's good to honor your sense of safety in doing this. So take a moment to remember a situation where you felt quite discontent, uneasy, perhaps even irritated. So take your time to vividly recall such a situation and allow this sense of discontentment to arise in your mind stream. Now, guided by a sense of tenderness, inviting you to briefly dwell in this very experience of discontent. With your kindly inward attention, ask yourself, where is that feeling of discontentment located in the body? Does it have a shape? If it would have a shape, what could it be? If it had a texture, what would it be? If it had a temperature, what temperature would it be? A color? With gentle curiosity, kind curiosity, explore your experience of discontentment for the next few moments. Now, remembering that original situation again, ease into the feeling of discontentment. Actually, how does it feel? Does it feel pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral? What thoughts or emotions are here? What sensations are felt within the body? Please again, feel free to share and chat what your experiences are. Anger, very good. It vanishes when I look at it, excellent. Wound up, frustrated, worried, and panicky, yeah, fear and anger. Irritation and impatience, squeezed tight, anger and sadness. Aching body, unpleasant, restless, anxious, to get away. Hot, temperature hot, shape jagged, color dark, constrained, angry, energy grasping, anxious and guilty, yeah. Headache, yeah. Dissatisfaction. When I move back and forth between irritation and the kindness, I can feel the sensation of irritation, but there is more spaciousness along with it. Yeah, that's excellent. That's precisely kindfulness gives it more space, and then we can actually get to know our irritation. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. So in that way, you can see we all have that innate wisdom that that we're aware what is actually good and what is negative. If we really pay attention, take time to pay attention to our experiences and listen to them, it's perfectly clear what we need to do. There's also tight, hunger, despair, black and red, top of stomach, feel at ease, freezing cold, life-threatening and unpleasant, frightening, tight gut, at first amused to remember that extreme tiredness, cranky feeling, and how bitchy I acted. Then when I let myself go into how it had felt, it's hard. It's a hard feeling in the belly, yeah. So it's nothing that is really pleasant. Yes. So very true. So we find that this contentment is actually quite restless, uneasy, and it's very needy and impoverished. When we feel discontented, we are easy to forget about anything good that's happening. When we long for something better or something more, is it possible to enjoy what we have now? It's very hard, no? Oddly enough, when we finally get the things that we really want, how long is it before we start craving for something else? As long as the thing that will satisfy us lies in the future, can we feel happy right now? Now, many of us think, well, it's normal, no? Isn't it normal? This is just how everybody lives their life. But is it really normal? Perhaps it is for many people, but does it have to be really in this way? Didn't the Buddha say that we are our worst enemy? So gently reflect now, do we actually have any power to feel content or discontent? Or am I powerless? How often do we blame our circumstances or someone else for our dissatisfaction? In this very moment, we give our power away to other people and circumstances. It may feel like that we are powerless, but in moments of contentment and discontentment, what affects us actually more, the event that happens or how we react to it? Are we truly powerless? When we actually bring a kind awareness and take loving responsibility for the way we feel, we can begin to find more inner space and resources. And we actually begin to find that we aren't powerless at all. So now that actually I had one more practice for really enjoying contentment and appreciation, but I think we'll leave it for here today. So what I really would like you to notice here is that contentment, what we have explored today is contentment is an open state of mind that really brings us back home to the present moment. It's the opposite of a needy, impoverished state. And that's really important to notice because this will become very important tomorrow in pure perception. If we're needy, we become very clinging and we could become very powerless because we expect something from outside. Pure perception is the complete opposite of an impoverished, needy, powerless attitude. We are actually not powerless, but extremely powerful. So when we put all our power in outer conditions, it makes us lose touch with our basic goodness. And as we will see tomorrow, it actually will make us disconnect from our timeless perfection. So contentment, being able to appreciate, brings you back into the present moment, and it goes hand in hand with kindfulness. We always look inward with a kind attention at our experiences, regardless of if they're terrible or amazing. And this is the basic set for developing kindfulness. And these two are the basic qualities, the kind of foundational qualities that make us able to really experience pure perception, as we will see tomorrow. They will give us the necessary space we need to explore the content and the nature of our very experience. There's nothing in these qualities, there's nothing that we need to reject. And this is really important for us to notice. So, until tomorrow, I would like, as you know, in my workshops, there's always homework. People don't like the term homework, I have heard. So there's always some kind of practice until we meet tomorrow. So if you can, today and tomorrow, if you can really practice contentment and appreciation, really notice, just take every opportunity to feel content. Whenever you see something nice, give yourself a moment to really savor it. Whether it's a good friend, your pet, a ray of sunshine falling through the trees, rain, perhaps these days is very important also in some parts of the countries, and a helpful stranger, even a chance for a brief moment of rest. How wonderful, no? Just being truly appreciative of the beauty what the day has to offer. And secondly, training in kindfulness, meaning that you greet yourself and all your experiences, any experience that comes up, any kind of irritatedness, upsetness, impatience, with a sense of softness and tenderness, and really welcoming it with a sense of kindness and tenderness. Yeah, I think let's better stop here for today. And this is the training until tomorrow. So lovely to see you. I hope you have enjoyed the brief talk on kindfulness and appreciation. And tomorrow we'll get into a more difficult subject, but also extremely profound subject on pure perception. Okay, so please don't forget your homework. I'll test you tomorrow, and I'm not going to do that. But and see you tomorrow. All right, so nice to see you all. Bye bye. Take care.